Hey, welcome back to Spilled Ink, the Comic Spring live drawing show where we're spilling the ink and spilling the tea. And of course, I am your host, Brandon Blocksdorf. We're here drawing some Spidey stuff. And with me, my co host, of course, is the amazing, astonishing Max Flowers. Hello, Max. That was a delay test, so we'll see how that goes. And also, our special guest, we have a spectacular, sensational, amazing, friendly William Keops Ibanez.
What's going on, everybody?
Dude, super hyped to hang out with you tonight. Super hyped to draw with you, dude. I'm super.
Likewise.
I was actually just rereading the first issue of Codex because I'm doing like these new like content reviews for Comics Wellspring.
Oh, nice.
So we'll be putting that out in early next month. But just looking at your drawing, and I'm like, I'm going to be drawing with this guy this week. I'm so hyped. Super cool.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the invite.
Of course. Why don't you just real quick tell us about, give people a refresher who haven't seen your episodes, but about the books you do.
So I'm working with writer Mario Martinez. It's my first time working off of somebody else's script. Because I've been drawing comics for a while now, and it's usually been auto-bio stuff and, kind of my own thing. But yeah, like 2 years ago, I'm like, if I really kind of want to push myself, I want to work with somebody who's already got like work that I respect. And we went to the same clubs growing up, and we kind of lost touch after high school. But I think I found one of his books at Barnes and Noble. And I'm like, oh, this guy has the same name as the dude I used to hang out with. And I was like, I wonder if it's the same dude. And like I found him on Instagram, and I'm like, yo, is this you? And he was like, yeah, man. And like we kind of just like caught each other up. And we were both kind of surprised to realize that like we're both still like doing what we were doing back in high school, but now kind of semi professionally. I don't want to say professionally. I mean, I'm not doing comics full time, but I do illustration full time, so it's not comics. But yeah, so we kind of just caught up, and we're like, we should work together. And yeah, that's how we came up with issue 1, Codex of the Jaguar. And I'm currently drawing issue 3. Issue 2 just came out this past September. It premiered at SPX.
Oh, dang. I didn't even realize that premiered there. It's so sick.
Yeah, so it's been going good. We actually sold out of issue 2 at the show, so it was pretty dope.
Dude, that's super awesome. Oh, congrats on that.
Thank you.
Did you guys do a crowdfunding for that one? I don't recall.
No. Okay. And part of the reason for that was because like I know how long it's going to take me to draw pages. And unfortunately, I'm not at a point in my career where I can draw a monthly book back to back. So I kind of didn't want to overshoot myself with like the commitment. But
that makes sense, yeah.
So I'm kind of like drawing a book a year, no pressure, and like I'm kind of focused more on quality. Because dude, that's the thing, man. Like there are people who like they're like they can keep up with the deadlines, and it's like your drawing style starts to change. You're trying to make those deadlines, and some people can adapt to that. Like they have a style that's very polished, but it's still a style that's like allows itself to be fast. And I don't think I'm there yet with my style where I can like knock out like a page in less than 6 hours. I mean, I still spend 12 hours on a page.
Dude, that is crazy. It's insane you talk about that. I'm actually dealing with a situation with the book with Apollo right now because of that. And it's like one of the first times I'm handling that as like an editor-in-chief and whatnot,
Yeah.
To insane a title. But like it trips me out, like the deadline thing, man. Like even when you are flexible on it, like you still have to pertain to a deadline of some sort.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick, we have a comment. Irishman 301, kick-ass work, guys. I am also working on a Spider-Man drawing for my son's Christmas gift. Dude, that's so sick. Definitely post it and tag us. I would love to check that out. Super, super awesome to hear. Thanks for everybody for tuning in tonight. We're getting a good little crowd in right now, so pretty hyped. Um, Dude, yeah, I mean, deadlines in general, it's hard to, especially as like indie creators, we try to give ourselves some lax. You are your deadline, you just want to finish the work. But like when you really don't treat it like a homework assignment, um, you will slip. And I've seen that change in people's art, and then people like want to redo the whole book sometimes. And it's like, no,
Yeah,
just
man. I mean,
I wanted a creator to redo a book because I'm like, your art is so much better now than in issue one. And then I kind of realized, like, you know what, that's not right. Like it's good to show the
yeah,
growth, and it's really good to showcase what got them to this point.
that's true. You see that in animation too, man. Like The Simpsons, you see the first 2 seasons that were on the Tracy Ullman show, and like they're just like
Oh yeah, yeah,
very like you can tell they're still trying to find like the proper like animation sequences for each character. Um, and like I think the first one they didn't even have turnarounds, right? Like it seems
no,
like it
I
took
think
a
so.
couple of
Yeah,
years to figure out the turnarounds for each character. But like yeah, even animation you have that thing where it's like you see the growth of the artist over the years.
and isn't that what you kind of want? Is that evolution?
Yeah,
Um, you want people to like admire like the growth that you've made and the commitment that you've put into the work too.
definitely.
I just lost one of my pens. Oh, dude, it would be like in the first steps of space where it fell into. Well, I guess I'm not using that pen tonight. It felt like the craziest crack in my underneath my desk. Well, how do you commit yourself to deadlines, and what are some of the practices you can try to give yourself, or mindsets you try to give yourself?
Like I have a calendar. I have a calendar, and I know that I don't want to spend less than 6 hours on a page. So I kind of have a calendar, and then what kind of pushes me not to fall behind is that I apply for shows at least two or three times a year, and that kind of as the date for said show approaches, it kind of like makes like it pushes me to make sure I'm not like, oh, I don't feel like drawing today, or like, oh no, like I'm feeling too sleepy. Like having that deadline, like that date, you know, written on the calendar is kind of like a visual reminder that like, no, today I can't afford to slack off, or like I got to put in 2 hours today. Um, yeah, I'm like a visual person. Like I have to write everything down and pin it to my wall to see like how much
Yeah,
time
I will forget if not. Like, it needs to be in front of me at all times. Do you feel like do you procrastinate a little bit and then just like get a lot of work done at once, or do you try to pace yourself, or do you actually pace yourself out? I'm sure we
No,
all
I,
try to pace
I have
ourselves
to
out.
pace myself out, like for
Oh,
sure.
cool.
Yeah, I have to pace myself out. Like I know what days, like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'm like drawing or working on the comic. Some Saturday nights, like at least 3 Saturday nights, I'm like definitely working on the comic. Sundays during the day. Yeah, no, so like I see, like I even like know what days of the week I'm committing to. Like it's just it's a day of art or a couple of hours of art. Because like you hear about these creators that do it full time, and it's like, yeah, man, they're sitting at the desk 8 hours a day, or there's creators that are drawing 16 hours a day, and but it's like that's what they do full time, and it's like, man, I have to fit in at least 3 hours a day somewhere.
Yep, that's awesome though. That's awesome to like commit to that,
Yeah,
and you could see it like in your book. Beautiful.
thank you.
So
But yeah, no, and then like I listen to there's other channels I listen to with other creators, and like I don't know if you've read Charles Burns' Black Hole.
oh yeah, dude, I grew up loving that book.
It's beautiful, and like
Oh,
I'm like, dude, how long did this take to make? Because it's like it's a lot of pages, and like you find out it took him 10 years to do that.
Wow, I did not know that.
I don't know if he was drawing that full time, because obviously I mean, that was published by Fantagraphics, but I don't know if they gave him an advance or it was just kind of like, I think it used to be single issues, right? So I think he was publishing like
So
an issue a year, you know, and it's just kind of like, wow, man, like you hear that and you're like, this like that's patience, you know.
Yep, dude, that's dedication too. You know what I mean? That's seeing your project to the end.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, I can't. Like, there are people that I'm like, and myself included. Like, I know sometimes I'm like, dude, if I work on something for like, you know, more than 2 years, it's like I get bored. You know, like you want to do something.
It's hard to keep that focus. Yeah, your interest change. Like, I think that's what's hard for me to be consistent with my writing sometimes because like I get in a headspace to work on a story, and then once I switch headspaces and I go back to the story, I need to be more of a professional and just continue writing, even though I'm not like, it's hard to get myself back into it sometimes.
Yeah,
But
that happens.
I guess like, and how many projects do you have rotating right now? Like, what keeps you busy and away from crying out?
Oh man, I try not to, but like when somebody asks me to do an anthology, like I've had to say no before, but because I really want to try to focus on Codex of the Jaguar as much as possible. So I've told myself, like, you know, I can't get distracted from what I really want to work on, and I told myself I'm not gonna commit to more than one anthology a year. So every year, like, kind of just to keep my mind rotating and not getting bored, I do like 4 pages for an anthology. 2 years ago I did one for Zomic Book, and those guys are great, they're hilarious. I did 4 pages for kind of an EC inspired horror anthology, and then the year after that I did one for I think it's Stoop Shop Comics. They're working on getting a risograph anthology printed. I did 4 pages for them.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking into getting a Rizzo right now.
Yeah, and you know what? I've always wanted to do risograph. I just don't have the equipment. And it was actually at SPX. Casey, they bought my work, and they were asking me like, "Hey, you ever done risograph?" I'm like, "Dude, I've always wanted to. I don't have access to the machine." And they pretty much offered me, like, you know, I'm starting this risograph anthology. If you want, like, you know, you can contribute. So that was the last project I worked on for this year. And then after that, it's back to Codex of the Jaguar, because I'm not done thumbnailing issue 3, and even thumbnailing the stuff out from the script. It's oh man, you think it's just thumbnails and it should be quick, and like I told myself, it should only take a week.
It's awful.
Thumbnail. Yeah, it's oh man, no, yeah, like I'm
it's
like,
cool, because that's where all the work is, you know, and those layouts and compositions and stuff like that. So I feel you there. That's definitely the hardest, like the hardest step for me is being like making those decisions as to what's actually going to happen, you know.
Absolutely. And I think when I started working off the script the first time, I was like, thumbnail should only take a week. And it's like, no, man, like you're way off. It's the most laborious part, I think. And people don't realize that, you know, but and I've talked to people also like that have been professionally published, like by places like Scholastic, right? And they'll tell me like, no, man, like a lot of these editors, they want the whole book thumbnailed before you even start penciling the first page. Like, what?
Yep.
I'm like, that's just crazy, man. Like, because I'm like ready to start going, like I want to start drawing, you know. And I know the way I work, I don't think I could personally sit down and thumbnail like a 200-page graphic novel. Like I would go crazy.
You got to get really good at doing thumbnails, I guess, is the answer.
Yeah, and I'm not fast, man, and that's the thing. It's like you're supposed to try to be as loose as possible, but still be able to communicate what's going on. And then next thing you know, I'm like putting in extra detail that like you don't need, right? Because it's still a thumbnail.
Dude, that's what we learned in like with Shelley Bond's book, Filthy Grammar and stuff like that. And I try to do that with some artists where I try to get them to thumbnail as much as possible because like on the artist side, I see the complications behind that. But I think for the clarity of the book, especially when there's a bigger team, like it does bring some peace of mind of direction. But it's insane though, because it's like that. I think that's why they have layout artists at that point too. I mean, that totally makes sense. I never thought about it, like the purpose
Yeah.
behind that until now.
Yeah.
I always thought it would just help speed up the book by having a layout artist, but like it does speed up the book. But I see now why.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as storyboards, right? In film, you know,
Yeah.
they do the entire film in storyboards first, and then they shoot the movie.
Wow. You know what? I never made that connection. Like, but that makes a
Mhm.
lot of sense. It's like, yeah, you gotta have like a plan.
Yeah, it I guess for like also knowing you can complete it, like proving like getting that on the paper to prove also like with anxieties and just like faith in the book being like, well, we could see it to the end. Like we know what it looks like at the end.
Yeah.
So but with like indie books, you know, I'm sure that would help some instances at a certain extent. But they're also like kind of so shoot from the hip type of thing, like
Yeah.
whatever works best on like a creative standpoint. I'm sure not every book, every creator does that. It's probably good practice to do that with every book. I'm not gonna lie, but necessary. I don't feel like it.
Because you look at the Robert Crumb documentary, and he just goes straight to the page. Like there's like no planning. It's like, you know, stream of consciousness type stuff that he's doing. And it almost feels like because, you know, everybody's working on their graphic novel, and like that's the direction like comics are taking now, right? It's not just superheroes. People are like, you know, I'm doing a graphic novel, and there's so many publishers like you know, just putting out such great work, but it's almost conditioned you create the new generation of creators to be like, well, we got to do thumbnails first. That's what we've been told. And you know, it makes me think like, well, is there ever going to be a Crumb type cartoonist coming out from the younger generation? And also like
Jim Mahfood, right? He just goes right in with ballpoint pen and does whatever. You know, he can see the image in his head before, and then can just spit it out like nobody's business. You know.
Yeah, he's got amazing stuff. But Mahfood's like, he's been around since like early 90s, right?
Yeah.
I remember he did the Bootleg Generation X, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's what I was just thinking of. Such a cool book. It's like blue and yellow or something like that. It's really
yeah. See, and I wonder for that, like, because, you know, he really has this like underground indie style, like, or alternative. I don't know exactly what to call it. It's punk rock. Like his style is like very punk rock. Yeah. And when that comic came out, I'm like, it's mini comic size too. So it looks very DIY. And I remember like thinking when I picked it up, I'm like, dude, did he have to like get this approved? Like, because it seems like he just went like straight for it. It doesn't look like it had an editor. It was just like pure energy on the page.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I don't think that kind of book would come out of Marvel today, which is sad.
No, CB runs a tight ship.
Yeah. And even then, like not too long after that, you had was it Strange Tales? They had like people like Dash Shaw drawing comics.
Oh yeah, dude, Strange Tales. I had a few of those. Like they were like these really cool like 90s, early 2000s like horror comics. And I remember I had one that was Man Thing. I forgot the artist on it, but it was like every time I look at that book, I forgot it was a Marvel book.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they had like that with, I don't know who the editor was, but they had like a ton of really eclectic art that like you just don't see anymore. Peter Bagg actually did a Spider-Man story too, which was pretty
really?
interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you'll see that anymore. But they still have great artists. I'm not like trying to like say they don't do good artwork anymore, because there's still tons of great art coming from them, but it's like you can tell it's heavily edited.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like Nick Klein is like probably one of the most experimental Marvel artists right now that I'm aware of.
What book are they currently working on?
They're doing the Hulk book right now.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah. He did a great like Thor run. Ryan Stegman for a long time I thought was gonna like bring some freshness, but he just he got a house Marvel style, like from the 90s basically. It still has like a 90s sort of vibe, but it's still very house style. I thought he would have more fun. Kind of like with DC with Tony Daniel and Jason Fabok and Jim Lee and
who's a great artist from me from that era that I think still has it going? Mark Bagley. While we're drawing Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
But, he still is. He's like my favorite Spider-Man artist. And I followed him from when he started on the title in Amazing, and then I followed him to Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's where I really got to get exposure to Bagley. I have a cool Carnage Venom sketch from him.
Nice.
Little sketch cover he did for me. He's a super nice dude too. Like that's why I also respect him like crazy. I have his phone number. Funny enough, like
I'm just gonna dox him right here, right now.
Yeah.
That's cool though. Like,
yeah, I forgot about that. I was at like a Phoenix Con doing some press stuff, and so like him and like some other people I actually hung out with that just would get signatures and stuff like that. So like he had my number to like for the sketch I was doing, and he had to give me a call to confirm something about it. And it tripped me out that I was like on the phone with Mark Bagley like at like 10 in the morning where he's talking about my sketch.
Nice. That's cool though.
Yeah. That's how I knew he was a cool guy too. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to do that at all. And then we got to have like lunch with John Romita Jr. that day
What?
too. Randomly.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's like my friend's wife realized who he was, and then they just started having like lunch together, and then we all met up, and then just had lunch with John Romita Jr.
That's cool. Yeah, he did a whole run on Spider-Man during the 90s. And then he's back on it now too, which is cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like, yeah, it's like, it's good that like a lot of these artists still have it, man.
That's true too. Romita like is a hit or miss for me sometimes. Like I could tell he even calls his work like I call it like deadline style because he's got that down. And it's like, well, it's true. You do get the books out, you're still getting work, so you're doing something right. Some of his earlier work, I think, for sure is my favorite. So his early Daredevil and some of that Batman Punisher stuff.
Yeah. You know what it is with his current run on Spider-Man is I feel like a lot of these 90s artists, their artwork is tailored to what the printing technology was at the time.
Oh,
and I don't think, it's like I don't think the computer coloring does any of these 90s artists any favors, because they try to over render stuff that is already rendered in the pencil or in the inking stage, and it just kind of, I think it makes any 90s artist's work look out of date when it really isn't. I think if the colorists like working with any 90s artists like would tone down all the rendering and all the gradients and all the like shines, like if they just make it flat color, like the pencilers and inkers can really shine. And I think there's this like clash with artists from back then.
Yeah, I didn't take that into consideration at all. What's up, T'Challa? Speaking of cats, you got up there? All right. Speaking of those type of artists, like I just saw Sean Murphy's cover for Hush 2, and it's so sick. I love Sean Murphy. He's one of my favorites still.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I just saw that they're having a Hush 2. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting move to make. Sometimes I feel like we're chasing what's already been done, but I feel like that's just been the history of stuff in general.
Playing the hits.
Yeah. How do we get them back? It's kind of, we're doing live actions of every animated film now, so.
Yeah, I didn't realize. It's crazy too, but because it's also that goes reverse too, right? Because now they're doing animated films of like graphic novels that DC has access to. Like they did Watchmen as an animated, like I didn't know that. Like I just found this out yesterday that they have an animated Watchmen divided by chapters.
Yeah, it's actually
they just did chapter 1.
Is it any good? What do you guys
super
think?
crazy? I'm not super crazy about some animation. Like it works in some moments, but the way they pace the story is what makes it good and makes you sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. They still have work to do on that. I think I really like. It's not quite there yet. But it's cool. It's interesting. It's an interesting way. Dave Gibbons had a lot to do with that movie too.
Oh wow!
But it's like I think they like scanned in his art and then they like I don't know the process, but it sounds like they essentially like rotoscoped it. You know what I mean? Like
oh really?
Just kinda,
that's
interesting.
interesting.
Drew and animated over it.
It's they did a lot of like regular animation and like 3D modeling and rigging and mapping.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all the scans are off of his work to do all that mapping. Yeah, so it's not rotoscoped, but all the designs and everything is ripped straight from the book.
Interesting.
And it some moments it totally works, but there's some moments it just it doesn't.
Definitely.
But they got like the Black Freighter stuff in and all that. So I think they just do that every few years with Watchmen to like maintain the rights.
Yeah, right. Poor Alan Moore.
Yeah.
No,
but Dave is taking that money. You know?
No, good for him though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Another super nice guy.
Oh Matt, how many people have you met? That's pretty dope. I'm like,
I got to interview him once.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Years ago. Yeah, super great dude. He even signed a Watchmen book for me.
Yeah, you were a big collector, Brandon. Before you started making comics, you were just like you were running it, you know.
Yeah, I've really met. I'm quite honestly like the only hero I really haven't met is Alan Moore. Probably there's like him and maybe 2 or 3 others. Like Neil Gaiman, Grant Morrison, like
oh damn,
almost all my favorite artists. T'Challa, what the fuck are you doing?
You met Gerard Way.
Gerard Way, yeah. I have a book signed by him. I had a great
shit
with Gerard Way. I have a
That's
poster
awesome.
he gave me actually. Yeah, I was at a panel for Young Animal, and then I ran up to like just try to get him to sign my Umbrella Academy book. And then I was like, "Hey, do you have any more of these posters you were just showing?" He's like, "This is actually the only one, but you know what? You can have it." And then I was like, "Oh, I like wanted to graduate." Yeah, he's great. He's so. And then he was signing all my comics, and he was like, "Oh, I think I was just only supposed to sign 2 things, but." And I was like, "Thanks, man. That's sweet." But we had a good little talk. Like he was super awesome.
That's awesome.
Dude, yeah, it trips me out. I was really into collecting, and then at that same time, I got into like comic book journalism. So like, I worked for these websites, and they would send me to like New York or San Diego, and I went to these press rooms, and it was a good time.
Nice.
Because I was trying to find a way to break in. You know what I mean? I was just trying to figure out an angle to get into the industry and into making comics because I didn't know how to make comics at all. At that point, like I was just shooting shots in the dark, like finding websites and being like, "Hey, you want to start a project?" And they never went anywhere. I have so many pieces of concept art or layouts or character designs or even half-made comics that just like never got completed because stuff happened.
Yeah. How long ago was this when you were doing the journalism?
That was between 2015 to like 2017.
Oh, cool.
2018 probably going into that because in
Yeah.
2018 is when I started Apollo City Comics as a podcast because the journalism stuff just wasn't panning out. It just got real crappy for a bit, and then I just was like, I'm just gonna start a podcast and just talk about crafting comics and whatnot. And I started Apollo, and then it took me like from 2018 to what was, I guess it was last year, 2022, technically the end of 2022, to start really making comics.
That's cool though, man. And, sometimes it takes the path you take towards comics can like twist and turn and like, sometimes it goes backwards, sometimes it goes forwards, and it's just, yeah, there's no one way to get to comics.
Yeah, and I love knowing that too, because that shows like anyone can do it. Like, you just gotta find your path, and which can feel difficult and impossible. And like I think we've all wanted to give up for a moment or two at some points, but that's how you get past those moments, really. Now look at me,
Yeah, man.
I'm really fortunate for what I do here. Plus, I get to like really just, inspire people to make art and make comics so they can print them. It's a cool little gig. Jesus, my cats are going crazy downstairs right now. I can hear them through everything. But, dude, even you, William, like everything that you do, like outside of comics, it's really super rad as well.
Thank you, man. But yeah, it's like, yeah, the path to get to here is just, it's man, I used to work at a comic shop, because the same thing, you're trying to break in, and I was working, I think it must have been like 2008 or 9. No, 2007. I was working at a comic shop, and man, like I hated it. It was the worst job I've ever had. And I bust tables. I've worked at warehouses. I used to work at a restaurant, in the kitchen. But man, working at this, I'm not gonna say the name, but working at this comics shop that like it's kind of like a franchise. It had like 5 locations or whatever. It was the worst job, and like everybody there at the time, we're trying to do the same thing. Everybody wanted to break into comics, and people were there for like, there were people had been there for 10 years, 15 years, and they were just so overworked, underpaid, and they were so miserable. And I totally get it, man. Like, you're unloading boxes, you're unloading trucks, and like, you know, you're dealing with customers, and like this was back in the day when like you know, a lot of shops were still like the comic shop guy from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to end up like this, like 10 years in, and like we're still miserable because you're trying to break in. And I'm like I couldn't do it. I'm like, I stayed there for a few months, and then like I had a panic attack at work. I'm like, dude, I don't want to end up miserable like these guys. I'm quitting. I went to the Art Institute and I applied to get a degree in graphic design because I'm like, that's the closest, if that's the closest I'm gonna get to being in the creative field is graphic design, I'll take it than being miserable at a comic shop. Because if I would have stayed longer working at that comic shop, I would have hated comics. And like,
yeah, you get spiteful.
Yeah, and like I'm like, I don't want to end up like that, man. I love comics. I want to spend my life, I want to spend my senile years like still reading comics, you know. And I'm like, if I stay here, I'm gonna hate it, you know. I'm like, I can't have that happen. So that's kind of what pushed me to go for graphic design. And like, you know, my first job out of design school was interning at a fashion company, and it had nothing to do with comics, but it was very like eye-opening in the sense that like, oh, there's art directors, and there's you got to do meetings, and you got to take criticism and present work, and like you can't take it personally if they think it's not going to make money. So like it was a creative like learning experience in that sense. Like I may not have been drawing, it was all computer design, but it was like, yeah, it was like I feel like that I learned more from that than working at the comic shop.
Oh yeah, it's weird how that works sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
like learning the industry from a different point where you're like, I thought that all the answers are here.
yeah, and sometimes, you know, you gotta take a step back, you know, and just kind of reanalyze and just kind of take a step back, and then like, you know, take a look from outside and like really kind of try to figure it out.
Yeah, honestly. And it's hard not to get like spiteful with comics sometimes. Comics are rough. It's a rough industry, like
for sure.
And, you know, yeah, like Max knows because he's seen so much of the background stuff that when I was pulling him in with CWS work, like it's a really crazy industry just through and through, and especially with printing, because it turns out manufacturing is like a bitch. Like it's really it's a lot to handle and manage and consider, and it's a different aspect I never considered about the industry, was like the print aspect. But it's still within the industry, and I never thought I'd imagine somewhere like this as like a day job. But everywhere you look, I think there's issues to be addressed with comics across like publishers, printing companies, conventions, like even how comics are made. Like it's so difficult to find a team and treat them fairly, you know, making sure people, you know, get money, or if they're willing to work for a certain rate, or, you know, for prints, or just doing it as passion, you know. There's so many holes there to like, where do we start digging?
Yeah, right.
I guess, you know, comics are also like almost an artistic medium that are so young in one sense that there's so many things that we're realizing because we're making them more and creating them more, and how they've evolved from what the 30s and 40s and 50s to how they're made now.
Yeah, it's much different, right? Like, I think back then people still viewed it as a commercial product that like you had to, you know, it's like you got to focus on the bottom dollar. That's all it is. It's a commercial product, and it lacks any artistic merit. And we're kind of getting away from that, right? But
Well, I think it's interesting too to remember that like comics at the end of the day are commercial art. You know, they're certainly still a very like there's a fine art to comics, but if you're making a book, it's commercial art, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like what you're doing here isn't the final product. What
No.
the final product is the book.
Absolutely.
The page, so the physical pages like themselves don't even really matter except for on the fine art end. So it's a tricky balance because we are all about speed and constantly making pages and putting out books and things like that.
Your own manufacturing,
and that's
like,
yeah, that's it's manufacturing. You sit down every day and you manufacture a page so that in a month you can manufacture a book. It's intense, you know, and it's like both sides are important and both sides are incredible.
And like the size of like the people that are in comics, like actually in the industry, is quite small when you really think about it. Like, dude, even Comics Wellspring, I swear to God, there's like 10 of us, and I think I'm overcounting at that point. Like, I think there's 8 of us on the team actually, like that run Comics Wellspring as a whole. We have
really, wow, that's pretty small. I'm actually surprised. That's wow, man.
Dude, yeah.
I imagine you guys had like a staff of at least like 500 because I imagine you guys must get a lot of
no.
Dude, no, worse. We are basically a mom and pop shop when you really think about it. Like,
wow,
like
man.
You have Mel and Pam running customer service and helping with pre-press. You have Mary in pre-press. You have me and Jacob doing different parts of marketing, and then you have Alex who helps us with some design and like digital quick stuff, you know, like tedious stuff and keeping things in order. Dude, that's 6 people. And then Dan, the CEO, that's 7.
Wow.
That's basically, we have Brian too, I believe, bounces between Carta and us. And it's about 8 people in total run the show. That's why when things go crazy, it's like a lot on us, you know?
That's impressive.
Yeah, so just support local. support your small shops. It's crazy. Yeah, you would think we're like a huge team. I thought there was like 20 people in pre-press or something when I came to the team, and I was like, oh no, there's 2 of you, and you're not even full-time here. It's just because like the cost of manufacturing is so much. Paper, machines, toner. There's nothing cheap about printing comics for sure. And that's why when we see competitors pop up, it's always very interesting seeing like how they kind of copy some of our models, you know, like pricing and whatnot. So we kind of like learn our mistakes, and then they copy it, and then we're like, oh, well, we just learned from that mistake, so we're doing something else now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny. It gets crazy people thinking how big we are. It's kind of like Apollo sometimes. People were thinking Apollo was like a bigger publisher than what we can do, when really it's like me, Max, and Alex.
And in our spare time.
Yeah, in our spare time too. Yeah, publishing in general has been interesting.
That I guess you're right. Comics isn't as big as we think. Well, you know, people still act surprised when you tell them, like, what's a best-selling comic? How many units does a best-selling comic sell? And it's like, oh, about 300,000. It's like, what? That's like low. And it's actually, no, that's actually a bestseller for a comic book. You know, 300,000. It's like, what? You know?
Yeah, those million.
They're thinking New York Times numbers, like New York Times bestseller numbers. And it's like, no, man, it's nowhere near there.
Which is crazy. It's like,
yeah, it's the American conception that comics are like lowbrow art. You know what I mean? Or like that, like adults can't read them. Or that I think that's what the mindset is. You know, because they're still selling manga in grocery stores and like stuff in Japan. You know, when was the last time you seen a
so
comic
common.
book in the grocery store?
Just Archie, nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just recently, actually, DC started selling comics at Dollar General. How wild!
Oh, I heard they were also going to be in Five Below. I'm wondering.
Really?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's the
That's
same
good.
like company that owns them, but
Right.
Five Below is going to be carrying comics.
That's wild. Yeah, it's I mean, and even when you're trying to like think about, okay, like, you know, how do we make comics more accessible for people? That's a whole different, you know, conversation as well, because Diamond and all of the stuff they're going through, and Penguin Random House acquiring like Boom Studios and them
Yeah.
being a distributor.
Do you don't have to answer if it's like if you can't, but I was just out of curiosity, are any people that you guys print like getting stuff picked up by Diamond?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a few customers that yeah, we actually serve like a really wide range of clients, which is super awesome. Like, we have everything from some people that are in Diamond and like working with bigger publishers, or
Nice.
to like, you know, the people just making their first comic ever.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I remember when I applied, when I submitted my stuff to Diamond years ago. This is years ago, man. I'm talking like before 2005. But yeah, they had this thing where it's like, you know, we can pick your stuff up from the printer you choose, or the printer can mail it to our warehouse. I can't remember, but yeah, this was a while ago. But yeah, that's how long I've been trying to break into comics, man. I've like, and yeah, I researched everything back then, and like I tried looking at Diamond's new guidelines, because obviously they've gone through so many changes and it's changed so much. I'm like, wow, man, the industry's just gone through so many ups and downs, you know. And
What's required? I really haven't looked too much into Diamond distribution.
My first time, and I got rejected obviously because I was still, you know, I was fresh out of the gate. I was like 17 or 18, you know, kid with a dream. But the first time I applied, it was just like, send us your stuff, your proposal, what's it called, how many copies you're looking to spend. We need at least like, you know, we need to know like how many copies you're printing, and like what printer you're going to use. And like now I looked at their recent guidelines, and they have all these things. You got to have a social media presence, you got to have like a press kit.
Wow.
You got to prove that like all the main websites know who you are, and that you got to have a budget for marketing, so we know that if we pick you up, we know you're going to get picked up in by the shop. We know shops will pick you up if you already are being talked about on like major like, I'm assuming they being Comic Speed and CBR, and you know
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, man, like, yeah, they asked for a marketing budget. And
That's
it's just
crazy.
like, wow, you know, and I kind of feel like, you know, I get that, like, before they commit to you, they want to be guaranteed they're gonna get units ordered, because it is a lot, you know. Now that they've lost some of their major publishers, yeah, the industry's just changed so much, man. And it's like you gotta stay on top of all this news to kind of be on top if you're gonna be like a self-publisher. Yeah, it is a lot, you know. It's like you got to read the news sites every day and just make sure you know what's going on.
Really quick, art Labrador Evita. I can't even say it. You know what? How do you say this in Spanish, my dude? My Spanish is horrific. I haven't practiced or said anything in Spanish in so long.
Art colaborativa entre humanos.
There you go. Saying, leave me a like and a comment to help artists who are starting their own channels. Thank you very much. Please don't give up on your channel. I love your videos and your broadcast. Bye bye, my city needs me. The help, dude. Thank you so much, dude. We love putting people together and making a little CWS community here. We're actually starting a Discord channel soon to bring people together a lot more and find.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, we're gonna announce that the new year. Pretty hyped. New development. Yeah, we're doing a whole education series coming out soon, so we're working on some newsletters. So super hype. We'll be announcing all that here on the show pretty soon. But dude, it's crazy. Like, even as Apollo, dude, I don't think about a marketing budget right now. I'm just trying to get like books out and books made, and like making sure the teams are happy and like they're gonna pull through with it, and support them however I can. And, be there just to help them with whatever they need to make sure it happens, and like support them through their like Kickstarters and whatnot. But we definitely do not have a marketing budget.
No.
Yeah, no, my marketing is just Instagram. That's it.
Straight up. Instagram and conventions. That's all I got.
Yeah, same here. Just conventions and Instagram. Tumblr too, but I don't know. Are people still on Tumblr? I feel like Tumblr, like, I logged on for the first time in like 3 years. A few days ago. It's like, oh man.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I definitely don't have an account anymore, I can tell you that much. Like, I'm sure they've deactivated it by now.
There was a comic book community on there for a bit. I met a ton of creators on there, now that I remember.
Oh, sick. Dude, it was so hard for me to find like creators trying to start up in comics. I think that's what was so discouraging at first, was like just like, oh, I just want to be a writer. Because when you like look up to like all your heroes and everything, you're like, oh, like you could just be this and break in and do stuff and do things and like be part of it. But now it's like you really do need to have multi-skill sets.
Yeah.
To really pave some success or make an impact, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to just be a writer, especially.
Are there any?
I'm thankful every day I'm not just a writer.
I was gonna say, are there any skills you guys have had to learn that are not art-based, but you had to learn because of comics or because of trying to promote yourself?
Podcasting, as a whole, interviewing. Like, I never thought I'd have to like really lean in, focus on like, how do I host? Like hosting is a whole different skill set that's so separate from comics and writing and like drawing and whatnot. Like running a show and keeping stuff fluid and keeping the excitement for various conversations all the time.
Yeah.
It's been interesting. But then like Max teaches digital stuff all the time. He's always showing me programs and teaching me formatting and stuff like that.
Yeah, which actually I think I was gonna say that, but then I realized that still does kind of fall under like art and craft, right? But like it's so I'll do the entire production of a book, including the printing, the binding, the packaging, everything. Like I want to be able to control the process from like the thought to like it getting into that person's hands.
Yeah.
And have full complete control of that, which means that I've had to learn like a ton about like creating publishing files, color spaces, like your left and rights for your book and how critical they are. Really technical stuff, margins and bleed. how to do bookbinding and how to how to make it print the way you want to print. So I'm trying to learn the entire process. Now, the part that I really suck at is like that last chunk, that the business chunk. That is the process of like, okay, you have a book. Now, how do you get it into your customer's hand?
Yeah.
And how do you do that effectively and stuff like that? Like, I really just don't have a very good grasp of business. So that's something that I definitely need to work on. But I also just like love working on craft. Like, that's where my heart is, you know. I would pay somebody who knows about business to go do the business side. Like, I would much rather just focus on the craft and be able to really excel at that.
You use InDesign?
I use Affinity Publisher because I don't believe in paying Adobe, but
yeah,
that's my own belief.
Because that was one of the programs I was like, I had to learn, and you know, you don't picture yourself needing to learn like a layout or like a layout program, right? Or I don't even know.
That's what I'm trying to learn right now, like just layout programs. I might can help Max out because I just give him a bunch of stuff. I'm like, please make this look pretty.
Yeah.
What's the one you use called again, Max? It's Affinity Publishing.
Yep. Yeah. So I paid less than $200 for all three programs, and it's an InDesign clone, a Photoshop clone, and an Illustrator clone.
I gotta look into it. I've never heard of it.
One-time payment. I don't have to deal with subscriptions. The program's great. It has everything that I need it to do. And then, so between those three programs and Procreate, I'm able to do anything that I need to.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool learning about stuff like that too. Just like alternative programs and uses that do the same thing, but will just save you money.
So, a program I had to learn, just real quick, a program I found myself having to learn, not thinking I would need to learn it, is Excel. And
Oh wow.
Because I'm having to do invoicing and like track sales and all that, and I'm like, somebody just told me, just use Excel, man. Like, that's it. Like, you don't have, because I have everything on scrap paper, my sales, and eventually it was like, dude, I just have all these pieces of paper, and it's like, just learn Excel, type up an invoice, and it's the math and addition it does for you per unit or whatever. And so Excel was my program that I didn't think I would have to learn. But
yeah, or like even like a crazy thing that we did was PDF software.
Mm-hmm.
and how to compress your digital comics, because you can't be sending people 500 megabyte digital comic files for like a 24-page story, like that's awful. And so we went through a whole thing of like comparing PDF compression software and like what's the easiest to use versus what gives the best result versus like how far can we squish it and it still like be good. So it's just straight testing. It's A/B testing, I go compress it in here, I go compress it in there. Let's pull it up in a viewer and compare it and zoom in like 400% to see what's happening.
Oh man, I'm still paranoid about like, and yeah, I have compressed certain files, but man, I still get paranoid because I don't know too much about that, and like about how, because also I'm using Acrobat sometimes, and then like with Acrobat there are certain, like it makes you think you can compress it and you're gonna keep the resolution, but then when you zoom in, it's like, no man, there's like a slight pixelation, and it may look good to the average person, but if you're the artist who worked on something, it's just like, dude, I don't like the way this looks,
I totally get that though. That's totally understandable. That's the hardest part with like comics and files we get, CWS is like trying to show the best ways to compress and like submit your stuff so it's the highest quality. I've seen covers that I'm just like, man, if this file like would have been done differently, this cover would look amazing. But I've seen covers that just don't come out good because of that.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, when I hit send the PDF, that's always the most like stress-inducing moment.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
dude, I was thinking that we just sent 3 books to print today, and so even I could try to get stuff fixed because I work there, but like still, I don't want to give production any more of a hassle than I need to be. Like, I'm like, oh, we did all this right.
Yeah. Word of advice, people: if you're getting stuff printed, always request a proof.
Yeah. Straight up.
I know it's hard
it's going to be required to
convention deadlines, but man, get approved because
a digital proof, I think, is going to be always, and I think they're going to make proofs like locked in now. I think it's going to be a thing you have to get.
And if you don't know how to put together a book, either learn or pay somebody who knows how to do it. Because if you submit a jank file, you're going to get a jank book back. Yeah. And it's not going to feel good, and it's not going to be right. You're going to have letters going into the gutter. Learn.
We're going to be getting a lot more education on this here at CWS too. We really want to educate our customers more, which is worth it. I mean, it's crazy how much there is to making a comic. You can't just draw it and like give it to somebody and have them color it, and then or ink it and then color it, and then we'll just slap some letters on it, and then wham bam, just send it to the printer and it spits it out. It's like there's so much to every
unless you do it all
steps.
yourself.
Yeah,
unless you take the time to learn.
So much to all those steps still. Like,
yeah, you could still do it all analog.
Oh yeah,
for sure. But it's crazy. It is an entire process that you have to be dedicated to learning for sure.
Yeah, it's not as simple as I guess like how it appears or when you first get started in comics. Like you don't realize I didn't realize how much was involved in the process. I'm always learning stuff. Which is cool,
Yeah.
I think right now the hardest part for me with comics is just like getting design and formatting down. I'm really excited to like really master that. Trying to be as much of a comic book guru as possible.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't think about the like extra pages in the book, They're just like focused on the story. But then it's like, okay, well, what about the interior cover? And you're like, what? I have to design that too? It's like,
I mean, we just did that with one of the books we made. Max was putting it together, and he was like, oh, we didn't do an interior cover. What do you want to do for that? And I was like, oh, I didn't. I overthought that on this one. So we had to whip it together today real fast and get it out.
It's always a good idea to, like my suggestion to any like new creators, when you're drawing your thumbnails, actually draw in the comic book, like a mini comic book, like take your pages, fold them how they're going to be model stitched, and draw your thumbnails on there so you get an idea of how your spreads are going to lay out and where your interior is going to lay, and then take it apart so you can see what the printer spread actually looks like, and you'll figure out what lays out with what.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and what's cool about that too is you could literally take that like layout book, right? and then go down to a copy shop or just use your printer or whatever and put them on the copier and copy it. And then you do it for all your pages, and then you hand collate just by hand and staple them together yourself, and then now you have a cool process book.
Yeah, definitely.
And you didn't have to scan them or make a digital file or mess around with any of that stuff. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm so hyped to be like, I'm soon, because I just did like my first cover for a book we just made, and so I'm going through that process of like, all right, well, now I got to learn how to scan in pages. I got to know how to do all this, and like, it's kind of interesting because I never thought I'd be the one doing those steps. Honestly, like, I feel like every writer should try to attempt to just make your own comic. Doesn't matter how good or bad it is, just go through the process so you can feel it out.
Yeah.
And
learn
you
how to
learn
scan in
so
pages,
much.
because sometimes, yeah, dude, so much. It's kind of like whenever I'd get a job, like, I've done a lot of management stuff, but I never minded starting from the bottom, so I knew what they went through, so I can understand how to like assist or at least like sympathize with that position more, you know? It's kind of why I have a really weird viewpoint on critics. Like, I don't agree with a lot of critics who have never written a comic or, you know, try to do film stuff. Like, if you don't know like how difficult the process is, I don't think, sometimes I feel like your voice doesn't matter as much, or your critique doesn't matter as much as those who do.
Yeah, if you don't understand the process. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. It's a little snobby, but I'll take the hit. Like,
it was a saying. I don't know who said it, but I think it's really true. Like, you'll never be criticized by someone doing better than you.
Oh, very true too.
Yeah.
That's something that I love about comics, is that like the pros just want everybody to succeed too, you know? So everybody's so willing to give their time and not gatekeep secrets, and just like, you know, like, here's what I did, you know, go try it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how you can just go to a convention and like they'll be more than happy to tell you what anatomy books to read or what brushes to use.
Yeah.
You know, like, nobody's going up to like Tom Cruise and asking him like, oh, how do I be an actor? You know,
That's true.
He's got security guards for that. Like,
I'm like having flashbacks, but yeah, no, every interaction I've had like growing up like has been very positive and very informative.
I've only had one bad interaction really with the creator. Yeah, I think
which
one
happens.
Yeah,
you know, it'll happen, but like overall,
yeah. I mean, and I've met like dozens of creators. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm thinking of like, you know, bigger publisher creators in general. You know, indie creators. I don't know if I've never had a bad interview with one that was like rude or weird or something. You know. I always have really good luck with like all of our spotlights and Inspired Ink interviews. I've never had to like pull an Inspired Ink episode or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Or be like, man, we shouldn't put this one out. So that's a good track.
Dude, I've drawn Spider-Man so many times. Like, I have to look at the webbing for what direction it goes in.
Oh, that's a cool figure. That figure looks familiar. I feel like I
think it's the Humberto Ramos one.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. I love those thick black eyes. I have a Ditko like Spider-Man figure I kind of use as a reference. And it was like a good vibe too, because like I was just reading that newer Ultimate Spider-Man run.
Yeah,
It's pretty interesting. It's cool.
that's the one where he has kids, right? And he's married to Mary
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a slow burn, but it's all right.
Jane.
Do you read a lot of current comics right now?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I try to buy a lot of indie stuff. But yes, I'll pick up a mainstream book here and there. I just finished reading Spider-Man Reign 2.
Oh, nice. Oh, dude, I got to interview Kari Andrews. He's such a
Man,
great
that's
guy.
awesome.
Yeah, he's super sick. I bet I could get him on the show. To be honest, we could try to do that one night.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's a good idea, William. I will do that.
Um,
I'll try to bring you on too.
oh, thanks. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I know
I love the first one.
I know it got a lot of hate, the first one. But
I discovered it late, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Everybody bashed on it when it first came out.
Really?
Yeah. The whole, because like I mean, I don't want to say spoilers, but I mean, like I think there were so many articles about how they were saying it was like problematic that like he gave her cancer, you know.
Oh yeah. Huh.
And like people were like up in arms about that, but I still wanted to check out the sequel to it, and it's amazing, man. He does so many homages. He kind of like took the Todd McFarlane style and like really pumped it up to like 11.
Ooh.
And I don't know why people aren't writing about it more, because he's like, there's so much passion that went into this. So yeah, I've been having fun reading that one. I think the last issue just came out in October or November. Number 5.
I think I just need that last issue. I was actually buying. I don't buy a lot of modern comics now, but I was buying that one because I'm a Kari Andrews fan.
Oh, it's the art's amazing in it. It's
Dude,
just, blows my mind.
That's cool as hell. I definitely will try to blast through that soon then, for sure. Oh, dude, your Spider-Man's looking great too, man.
Oh, thanks. Y'all stuff looks awesome too. I haven't been looking up at the screen because I'm looking at my drawing.
Me too.
Yeah, man, you guys got some cool styles there. Digging it. Oh man, see, like you guys got like the second character in there, like Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin. I'm like, dude, I just have Spidey and like nobody else. Oh, that's
nice. I started these pencils early though. Like actually, Green Goblin, I had intended for him to be like this big. Like I didn't intend for him to take up so much space. I wanted to do a small character, and it didn't happen.
I ended up pretty much totally winging this. I did a tiny little prelim like days ago at work. But yeah, I kind of wanted to play around with doing something a little bit more cartoony.
No, I love it, man.
Yeah, dude, I love it.
Let me ask you, Max, because those claws look like they're from one of the movies. Do you get are you drawing those from memory, or is it like you're referencing do you have like
I did watch Spider-Man 2 a few days ago. So yeah, I've drawn Alien a ton.
Okay.
Like xenomorphs, and so the pipes are the same. I figured out how I draw like those electronic articulated cables and stuff. Yeah. So I know how to draw them relatively well. And then like everything else, like the actual design of the claw here is from imagination.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
But this part is pulling from the movie.
Just spotlight.
That's awesome.
Let me move this. More centered.
I still have to rely, my memory, my muscle memory for some of these designs isn't that good, and I still have to. I find myself still pulling reference. Or
I certainly pulled reference for Spidey. I was I don't know the exact layout of the costume, but yeah, it's hard. There's no harm in using reference.
Oh no, absolutely not. I totally.
Yeah.
I think I'm down with that.
I'm trying to use them more actually because for so long I really wasn't using a reference and I was just kind of going off of what I felt I knew, and like this one I used like 3 or 4 references. I had like an action figure, and then I had like a Green Goblin in a pose, but then I used the costume from another reference and then just kind of riffed off it. The glider I did from memory though, which was kind of fun. But,
I mean, I heavily use reference for almost everything.
Let's check out Williams, dude. But yours is huge, dude. Like that looks.
Yeah, I'm on 14 by 17.
Oh dang, that's sick.
and it's technical as hell.
Yeah, dude, it's just so smooth. Like it's super clean.
Oh,
Gosh,
I
yeah,
had
is
thumbnails
awesome.
for this. I had thumbnails for this, and then I lightboxed the thumbnails, and then so that's the only reason it looks clean. But yeah, I do like 5 different layouts for whenever I'm working on something like this, and then I blow them up once I get to where I like it, and then just kind of lightbox it.
Oh, cool. Just try using a lightbox.
I have
one. I just don't have a thing for it.
Is this the size you usually work at, or are you usually working on 11 by 17s?
Usually 11 by 17, but
okay.
Yeah, I just had the 14 by 17 pad laying around, and I initially thought it was the thumbnails when I blew them up were not fitting, and I still wanted the background, so I was like, I'll just keep it on this size.
Yeah, I stopped doing big pieces for this show for the most part.
Oh, really?
I realized I was like, it's tiring and it's so much work to cover that much ground in 2 hours. Yeah. And the goal for me is just to like do a fully fleshed out piece in 2 hours. So if I do it small, I have no clue. I've started cutting up pieces of paper randomly and just working on whatever. This is the Grievous from last episode, so it's a little smaller than that. Yeah, and this is 5. This is 5x4. This is 5x4, I think. So this is probably 4 by, or I don't know.
That's neat.
I guess it's probably 4x4 ish.
Is that all pencils or is it marker? I can't tell. It's pencils, right?
Well, there's pencils, and then this is brush pen. All the black is This is a Carapo pen that I just filled with my own ink.
Oh, nice.
And then it's got like the Tombow solid felt tip brush thing on it.
What's the name of that? Because I love using brushwork, but I don't think I've heard of that one.
This is a Carapo pen, Karappo pen.
Okay, I gotta get me one.
Yeah, Brandon, you have the Fuidenosuke's or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's what I mostly use, especially for this one. I'm using my
yes. It's the same tip as that, but I get to fill it with whatever ink I want.
Let me see if my camera will focus on it. Yeah, I love this pen. That's what I'm doing for all my fine lines on this one. I use this, and then I have the Kiritake for my real fine lines. I love this one. That's what I'm doing for some of the smaller hatching and detail. And then I'm just using my Pentel. I love my Pentel brush. I use it for all my drawings.
Nice.
Yeah,
I have like a good control of it, so I just trust it, I guess. I need to change the so it's about to run out.
Yeah, this is a Kuretake number 13 on here, and this is the fiber brush pen that I use. So this one actually has like individual fibers on it. So this is what replaces my Pentel pocket brush that Brandon is using. Is this Kuretake number 13. This is what Scotty Young uses.
Oh, nice.
This is the Kuretake. I also Danny Warren Johnson uses this as well. He's got a red a Kuretake number 13 brush pen. I don't know if this one's what I've got in this one. I think this one is my converter. Let me see. I gotta open it up to find out though. Oh, it's all crusted. Yeah,
I'm writing
it is.
these down. I'm writing these down.
So I have an ink converter in here, and
Okay.
so I can just refill this instead of having to buy disposable cartridges. And so I could just take this out and twist it and suck up the ink, and then it's ready to go again.
Nice.
But you have to buy these separately. But really good pen. It holds the tip pretty well as long as you don't let it get dry and then abuse it, which is what I end up doing. But I have like 3 of them, so it's all right.
Yeah, right now I use a Raphael is what I use.
Yeah. The actual brush, correct?
Yeah, what I have. I just had it out here.
There you go. Put the spotlight on you, William, to show off.
It's a Raphael 8404, size number 2. But yeah, these are kind of hard to find. Some stores stopped carrying them. But
is that what you use for like the denser parts of the ink too? Like, and you get that nice like fray at the end of it?
Yeah. I like this brush because you can do like a very thin line, and you can do a thick line in one stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you can do this type of feathering.
You can do really crazy work with an actual brush. I
would love to do that.
I have a Winsor Newton Series 7 that I use.
I have that
one. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Well, how do you feel about it? Do you think the Raphael's better?
Everybody swears by the Winsor Newton, and I don't know if it's just that I'm so used to the Raphael. Like I love the Raphael brush more than the Winsor Newton, and I'm like, maybe I bought a bad Winsor Newton brush. I'll try it again. I just like the 3 Winsor Newton brushes I bought, like, do not feel like the Raphael. And like everybody swears by it, so I don't know if I'm using it wrong, but I feel like the Raphael does what I ask it to do.
Right.
There's no fighting with the brush with the Raphael.
That's dope. I'm pretty sure my girlfriend got me a bunch of brushes for Christmas. So I'm super hyped for the next time we do spilled ink. I don't know.
You got to get some good ink too.
Oh, I know, man.
Right now I use the Speedball Super Black whenever I use my heavy.
Oh, okay.
Inks.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I use.
Yeah, I need a big bottle, like, honestly.
Here, let me pull out my big bottle. I'm working through it. If I can find it. Hold on. Yeah, here it is. Here's my big bottle.
Whoa.
Oh, nice, dude.
I didn't know they made it. That's awesome.
This is 16 ounces. 16 ounces of ink.
This is mine.
Yeah, the little guys.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the India ink or is that Speedball too?
It's, mine's Speedball, but it says it's this is the Super Black. Is the Super Black acrylic? Yeah, this one's acrylic. Yeah.
So I also want to try this one, this Yasutomo. This is Sumi ink. So it's kind of like India. It's like the Asian version of what the heck am I saying? Of India ink.
Okay.
Really cool. Here's the bottle. So I definitely want to try. Yeah, I want to try this out, but I don't know when I'm gonna do that. I'm still figuring out the materials that I want to use for my next book. But maybe it'll be that. I also low-key want to do my next book with just like, this is like a rollerball pen. And so it's nothing fancy. This is like an office pen. I kind of want to do my entire next book with this pen, but I don't know. We'll find out.
Corpse paint or?
Yeah, corpse paint.
Well, it's good to experiment with different materials.
Yeah. Well, like the book that I'm finishing up right now is all pencil, so there's no inks at all. It's just all pencils.
Nice.
So I'm like leaning on my drawing board and my computer back. It's like on top of it. I thought the spider webbing would be really cool. And then I did it and it took me like an hour. And then I have like webbing inside of the letters too that I'm gonna do. So there's webbing around the letters and in between them. I love like hearing about. I get like excited hearing about like what artists are using, just like I would like hearing about like music equipment and like rundowns and whatnot. Like it's so much fun. Life on Saturn says Spidey poses are tough. These are awesome compositions. Thanks, my dude. And then K-pop junkie said Spidey has some of my favorite villains. What are your guys' favorite? Yeah, it's so funny. What are your favorite villains from Spider-Man? Both of you.
I would say the Green Goblin.
Yeah, that's mine too. It's kind of like the Joker of the Spider-Man universe, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would arguably say Carnage, just like the Joker of the Spider-Man universe. But
oh yeah, that too. Well,
that's true.
But like in that playful manner of like opposites, like a goblin and a spider being arch nemesis, yeah, 100% Joker and Batman comparison, yes.
I think I like the Green Goblin because the whole thing is tragic. Like he knows whether it's Harry or Norman, like they're people that were at some point close to him, and that creates the conflict, right? It's like having to navigate fighting someone that you cared for or know is the father of someone that you consider a friend. And yeah, those whole plot lines from back then, like, you know, I think they still hold up. It's just interesting storytelling. So that's why I think he was my favorite villain. Because it makes it that harder to fight, you know? Like, how do you fight someone that you know and like you went to school with, and you know you've broken bread with, you know, these people? It's, you know, it creates like a psychological conflict.
Yeah,
you know?
like yeah, it makes it harder to make some of the decisions you would with anybody else.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting, like in that current Ultimate Spider-Man series, like, spoiler alerts a little bit, really, but like Harry is the Green Goblin, but like he obtained his armor from Tony Stark because that's how the whole universe is set up.
Yeah.
And him and Peter are working together right now. They're like buddies, and
yeah,
it's a trip. Like, I'm really curious to see how that dynamic is going to change, and it's exactly what you're saying, because if it goes south, it's going to add that much more tension because they've been working together for so long now, as partners and as friends, as like Goblin and Spidey kind of, you know. So it's going to be a cool switch over. I think I'm writing a story right now with my girlfriend, actually, and like a lot of the villains were like the people that were closest to her, so that's what's making the story so kind of resonate and powerful.
Yeah, it's sure. Definitely it's definitely good storytelling. It's, you know, it's easy to punch someone that you don't like, but when it's somebody that you considered a protector or you're close to or friends or family, you know, it's not easy, you know. I think that's why it's also like some of the best fights in comic books throughout history have been like hero versus hero, right? Because sometimes they're on the same team or sometimes they're related, and you know, that's why Civil War was great, at least the first one. you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, honestly, that's what like made that book so monumental.
It's like Captain America and Iron Man like going at it, and it's like who's right, who's wrong, and like you guys used to be in the Avengers, like.
I mean, Miller doing Batman versus Superman was just like insane at the time. Like, how could you do
yeah,
such
man. Some of the best dialogue.
Batman. Yeah, straight up. Dude, I use that as like a master class on how to tell stories, because if you read the first page of Dark Knight Returns, it tells you what the entire series is about. Like you could go panel to panel and break it down and show how that relates to moments and beats throughout the entire series.
Yep.
Literally the first page. Insane. I try to somewhat do that. Like I really try to focus in on like how do I tell everybody what the story is about from page one.
Yeah, like that's always something that I find difficult, not coming from like a writer's background, right? Is that like how the heck do you start the story? Where do you start? Where do you go from there? And because like oftentimes the story doesn't always actually start from the beginning,
right?
You know. So where do you take it?
I switched my pens without even knowing it, dude. Life on Saturn said Doc Ock is my favorite. He's one of the most uniquely designed villains. Yeah. For sure. My favorite hand down is Venom.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Especially for the Donny Cates run, because that's when I feel like everyone really appreciated Venom more, because like that's when I really loved him, was like learning about Null and like getting the wings and all that. Like that was dope for me. I really enjoyed that. Because he finally made Venom cool. Like Venom was always like aesthetically cool, but he was never actually that great. For a while, it was always Carnage because he was always like the darker one. But other than that, it'd be Goblin. I don't know anyone who would choose like Shocker or
or Vulture.
Or Vulture or something. Yeah, I'm sure they're fun to draw. You know what I mean? Like that's something else. But like,
what about the Chameleon?
I don't know.
I've never seen the Chameleon any other version than the animated series one. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know
that was Spider-Man's first villain. You know?
Oh my god! Really?
Yeah, that was the first villain he fought. Was the Chameleon? I mean, not counting the guy who shot Uncle Ben, but villain. It was the Chameleon.
Oh wow! I didn't know that. That's a fun fact. Ooh, you know what? I'm probably gonna get my like. I have my dip pen, so I can get these really fine lines for the web. I think I'm gonna do that. Just drive myself crazy for like 2 hours after the stream. Oh, it's already an hour and a half. It's already 7:34. Dang. Okay, I'm not gonna finish this today.
I think I just finished mine.
Oh, dude, that texture.
You added some grays.
Great. Yeah. What do you use for your grays again, Max?
It's just this gouache brush, and then it's like a ratio. It's like a, I don't know what the ratio is. It changes as I use it, really. Like 1 drop of ink to 5 drops of water, or something like that, or 3 drops of water.
Did you send me that pen when I needed all that stuff to send to Lex?
I think I did. Yeah, the gouache pen.
I should be getting it. Like positive everything you sent, or if you got. Like
now the question
was like, okay.
Now the question is, do I add color, or do I just mess with it some more? I don't know.
We should start doing polls on here. Color or keep adding detail.
I'd be curious to see how it looks like in color, but it looks great black and white.
Yeah,
Or
it does. It really
grayscale.
does. I'm not even gonna like get to my Spider-Man tonight. This font's gonna take me a little bit to get through. I had fun drawing this though. Spidey's one of those characters, like I said, when I first started doing this, I was like, I want to get good at drawing Spidey, Batman, and Spawn. If I could just like slap those down whenever possible, I'd be happy. Spawn's hard for me, dude.
Batman's hard for me. I love Batman, and there's some great Batman artists out there.
Yeah.
I was looking at Matteo Scalera's Batman stuff recently. I was like, oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah, seriously,
dude. Really good.
Batman is a character. Batman and Spawn I need constant references for, and it's crazy. Like, I think I would just have that memorized by now. Understand it.
I have Batman memorized. I just like some reason it's never right.
Right? Yeah, exactly. No, I told you.
It's just, or it's just like not how I, or it's just like not how I imagine Batman to be.
Mm-hmm.
What's your version of Batman? Like what's your go-to if somebody says Batman? What do you imagine?
Mine's always just like cloaked, dark. Like I want the shadowy Batman. I want like the cloak to take up everything. I want you to barely see him. Kind of like I like the shadowy, dark Batman.
I'm gonna have to go with Tim Sale. I think he really like his inking with just like really blocky shadows. Yeah, if I hear Batman, like his Batman comes up into my head.
Yeah,
I think of the Lee Bermejo one a lot, but that like is so it's just like too complicated to like. I drew a Batman recently, I think, and that's like the suit I like using. Did I? Oh, I did it. I was messing with Procreate. That's when I drew Batman recently. And it was like the best Batman I've done, but it still wasn't. This is awesome. I still hate it. I mean, that's improvement too. You know what I mean? That's growth. Being like, I love what I did here because it's the best one I've done, but unfortunately, it's not how I want it. Still, I still hate it. Like, it's kind of like what being an artist is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This still sucks, but you know, it's the best thing I've done so far. So
it's good, man.
Life on Saturn said the Hobgoblin was even voiced by Mark Hamill. Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I was a huge fan of the 90s animated series.
Same. That's really, when I think of Spider-Man mostly, that's what I go to in my head. Especially all the characters like Hobgoblin and Green Goblin. And when I think of Mary Jane, that's like the Mary Jane I think of. And Aunt May.
Yeah, I don't even know what my version of Spider-Man looks like. You know, like I think honestly, my go-to is Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I like those movies.
I like I had Spider-Man 1 and 2 on DVD, and I would watch that all the time going to visit my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just what's stuck in my head.
That was such a good sequel, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that like 3 times in the theater.
It's dated as hell, though. It really
is it? I don't know. I feel like it still holds up to me.
It's pretty good, but it's got like the Sam Raimi quirks, you know. where like suddenly the shot is just like a screaming lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like every 30 seconds you got to throw in a screaming lady, and it's like, you know, I get it. It's Sam Raimi, but like, come on, man.
Yeah, he's you know, he did the horror films. He did the
yeah.
Got
Dude, I love Multiverse of Madness. I love bringing him back to the MCU. He was the right person to direct a Doctor Strange movie, 100%.
Was that him?
Yeah, Multiverse of Madness.
I did not know that. I have not seen it yet.
I like it. Some people had their. I mean, everyone has their gripes about the Marvel movies. I have my gripes about the Marvel movies, but I really enjoyed it.
I want DC to start pumping out more good stuff, honestly.
Dude, that Superman trailer was so great today.
Did you guys see the Penguin?
I watched
nothing but great stuff. I've heard Alex was obsessed with it. I saw the first episode. I really dug it. I just need to get back to it.
It's a different vibe for sure.
Yeah.
I really
enjoyed that though. Oh, was that William?
Oh, I really enjoyed the Penguin.
Oh, nice.
Because, oh man, if you read Year One and if you read The Long Halloween, like you get all the references.
Oh, cool. That's
you
right.
know, and it's not done in a way that's just rehashing those stories, because you know it's obviously about the Penguin, but those references are in there, and man, it's like building on the mythology of you know, Gotham.
Oh, great. That's cool. Especially that Matt Reeves universe.
Yeah.
I thought that Superman trailer today was great, though. I was really happy.
That came out today?
Yeah.
Oh man, I haven't checked it out.
It's worth it.
I gotta get online and catch up with some of this stuff.
And, dude, Crypto looks amazing. Although Crypto looks just like my dog. And it's like my dog with the gray he had. And I'm like, damn, dude, that hit me hard. You got me today. Keeps going.
Crypto's in it. Wow.
Yeah. Hype, dude.
So it's gonna be like a lighthearted Superman, because that's what I want. I don't want Superman to be dark like
Oh, it seems once you look at Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, you'll be like, oh, I see what they're doing.
I didn't like
dude, they have Metamorpho. Probably the best looking Superman we can come up with right now too. I'm not gonna lie. He looks amazing. I hope this isn't make the lettering too hard to read, having all these little spider-web things. Gotta do like quick lines so that the ink doesn't like bleed fast, you know? Oh man, dude, your Spidey's looking great. That web is looking awesome.
Oh, thanks.
I like the end of it there. The tip looks awesome.
Start ruling the buildings out. Oh, here we go. Just looking for the ruler.
Kind of hyped I'm not doing the buildings live on air today since I've never done it before. I was like, all right, let's put this out.
Yeah, I still need to figure out how I want to do buildings. Like, I kind of like do really gestural stuff for the buildings. I'd love to do something a little bit more detailed, but it's hard. I feel like I don't have the patience for it sometimes.
I was telling William before we hopped on. I was like looking at buildings, and I realized, oh, it's just a bunch of lines and squares. I'm sure I can do this. I'm sure I can pull it off. But I realized, like, one of my roller lines was like a little crooked, so it made that building slightly slanted. But maybe it'll just work once it's inked, you know?
That's why I do like fisheye stuff or like distorted perspective stuff, you know? So like this line here of the end of the building ends like this, and then this one tilts way over like that.
Oh, nice.
So if you were to go over here, the line would be like this if you went to the left. So you can do kind of like a forced perspective, like a 3-point perspective thing. And what it does is it pushes your eye line down towards Spidey.
Nice.
Oh, rad.
And it also lets me like not have to be super precise with any kind of perspective. Like this line right here should definitely probably be more like that, I think. Like if I were to do the piece again, I would change that line.
So you're not putting grid lines down for your perspective, or like
I'm doing really loose stuff. Like I'll do a really loose grid. So what I did was I started with like this like bus shape here that Spidey's on, and then I kind of like based everything off of that.
Oh,
just
nice.
knowing where I want those lines to converge, right?
So like you eyeball it?
Yeah, but a lot of this is like super incorrect, right? Like this sidewalk here.
Tell, man.
Yeah, because you're focusing on Spidey and Doc Ock, you know.
I gotta learn these tricks.
Yeah, like this sidewalk here should probably be dropped to right around there. I think would be where that sidewalk should be.
I set up my vanishing points and they're way off the page. So before I got on, I was like in the kitchen floor, like rolling out to the vanishing points that are way off the page, because I'm like, oh, it's gotta look accurate. And you're like,
have you done it
eyeballing it? Like what?
Have you done it with string? Like
somebody,
like,
I've seen the videos where they do that. I've never tried it.
I've never tried it either.
Have a shot.
Yeah, I'm too impatient to rule it out. Like I'll just be like, oh, this is close enough, it'll work. Danny Warren Johnson has like a divider that he uses. It's a multi-point divider that's used from like map making. And
I gotta get one of those. I think I've seen some people. There was a YouTube video where they showed you how to do it.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. I'm getting my brother to 3D print me one, and so we're gonna see how that works. I want an original one, but they're like over $100, and I'm like, I just can't justify getting that, you know?
Yeah, a lot of these old school like cartooning tools, they don't make them anymore,
my God, yeah,
they're overpriced if whoever has access to them.
Go ahead.
What I was looking at one point was the lettering. I don't know what it's called, but it's the lettering machine that
Leroy.
There you go. Yes.
Yep. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Is I want like a Leroy lettering set so freaking bad, or something adjacent to it, because they've made different kinds. But oh my God, I would love that.
Man. Yeah, those are the ones the EC ones had, and I'm like,
really quick. Rudy Diaz says howdy, and K-pop Junkie says, "Dude, Arthur Adams kills me with his points of perspective."
Oh yeah, he's got good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't even tried to mess with stuff like that yet. I'm just trying to draw characters still. Nice, I finished that font though. I'm hyped. Didn't. Hype. I did like this webbing on it. So
yeah,
the light on there.
Neat. It's funny. The way you did the webbing makes it kind of look like it's like a metal logo.
Right? Yeah, huh? I haven't even started Spider-Man yet. I've just done like my Goblin and that. I'm working in a good order. I'm started from the bottom right of my page, and I'm going like in a counterclockwise. Ooh, keep up, Drunky. This says looks sick. Thank you, man, dude. The perspective on yours, William, looks sick. That
Thanks.
it's really tall buildings.
Yeah, that's why I was on the kitchen floor. What I've tried in the past is I've gotten pre-made grids before, and then I just light box over it. But then what I started realizing is like I was using the same 3 grids, and then all my panels started looking way too similar in terms of layout. So I was like, I gotta stop doing that.
You just make your own pre-made grids.
Yeah.
You just make a basic perspective grid in Photoshop and mess around with where your perspective points are.
Yeah.
And then take screenshots and zoom in.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Zooming in, yeah.
Yeah, because when you zoom in, you're gonna get totally different perspective lines, and also it's gonna look more natural, so you don't have like the perspective distortion, you know. So yeah, you just zoom in like crazy.
Ooh, sweet. Dude, we just like put out like we just wrapped up like we're wrapping up 2 books this week, which is insane. Pretty much. Broadcast just got wrapped up, which was crazy. Same with Campfire, and then that political comic coming out in January is basically almost done. I just got the table of contents emailed to me, and I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah, I was helping Eric with that. We're still
Cool.
workshopping it a little bit, but
cool. I'm glad he's talking to me about it. So he's doing good. He's killing it. Trying to take a little off your plate too.
Yeah.
We give Max like almost all the design work at Apollo, so we're all trying to help Max not have to do everything for us. Which I mean, talking about like picking up skill sets, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I've really had to get like an eye for editorial and like understanding formatting and design, and that's just stuff I never thought I'd have to really utilize. Where are we at? 7:53? Oh dang.
Oh wow, that flew by. I'm in the zone.
Yeah, you want to see the interior credits to Family Man?
Oh yeah. We could put a spotlight on you, and you could show off your final piece too, Max.
Yeah. There's the final piece. Here, let me take this tape off. But yeah.
Love it, dude.
Nice.
So
I love the red, man. Pops.
Yeah.
I think
the tentacles, it pops.
Yeah, I feel like it needed something, so I thought just the red, no blue, no green, nothing like that. Just the red was good.
It always helps. Like I've been adding just like one color to my stuff lately, and it does make a difference.
Yeah, it's gonna take me a sec to find these credits, so hold on. You can take the spotlight off me.
All right, cool. I'll show William while he kind of switched through and everything. Oh man, dude, I'm so sloppy with the ruler still. I don't know how I'm still sloppy with the ruler.
Yeah, I got sometimes I put the pennies underneath so it doesn't bleed. You know that old trick?
Oh, nice.
Because sometimes some of these rulers, they'll bleed with the microns.
Oh, okay. Dude, that's good advice, actually. Right now I'm doing this little strand of web that he's swinging from. I put these like knots
in that Green Goblin. Look at that.
Oh, thank you. I swear. I like how the glider came out. Oh, my camera's not fully focused. Yeah. It's coming out cool. And then the font, I'm really happy with the way the font came out, actually.
Looks dope.
That web. It's gonna be funny being like, oh, I just gotta do Spider-Man now that the live stream's done. There's Max's head.
Okay, I found him, but I gotta zoom out like crazy now.
That's crazy. I didn't realize how tiny that paper was. I thought it was like printer paper size.
No, it was very small.
Oh, sick.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it at this size.
Just spotlight you.
Oh, there you go.
first.
So it's like trying to make it so that when you open the book, it's not just like plain interior credits on there and then like the next page is like fully fleshed story. Trying to integrate the interior credits and the story together into one thing.
It's a lot of lettering.
Yeah, it's a ton of lettering. So
so much lettering. You did a whole newspaper article by hand, huh?
Yeah, it's like a case file,
man.
like a government case file. So there's just like pieces of paper clipped up, and stamps and seals.
You
and
really give that like
photos.
vibe too. With, well, I mean, just how you colored in the shadows on that, it looks great.
Yeah, and so I have like the story credits, and then like all your copyright credits, and then integrating all the publishing studios into like former connections or whatever.
Nice.
Fake government agency, and then this is like a newspaper clipping about the story. So it kind of intros you into what's happening if you read this, but you also don't need to read this. It's just like vibes.
Yeah.
And then you jump into the story from there. But it's funny because there's so much lettering here, but the rest of the book has like no dialogue. After this, you have no dialogue for like 45 pages, and then there's 3 pages of dialogue, and then that's it.
That's insane.
Yeah, so this one's fun. I still have to scan this, but I'm almost done coloring the book. And then it's just formatting and finishing it up.
Sick. Dang. Oh, this has been a very, very fun Spilled Ink, man. I'm so glad we got you on, William.
Thanks for having me.
An absolute blast.
Had a good time, man. Always love drawing.
Yeah, that looks great, dude. That web is awesome.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's gonna look awesome. Are you gonna try to like color it or do anything else to it?
I don't know. Yeah, probably. I mean, all my colors are digital now, so I'll probably scan it.
Yeah.
I'll post it up.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. I love how big the eyes are. I really love big Spidey eyes. That's so dope. Yeah. This is where I'm stopping for the stream, and I just got start at the bottom. I'm doing 11:17, so I'm pretty happy for how that came out.
Dude, I love the shading on the face. You got the underlighting going on.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that a lot. It's a fun little thing to do. Never done like a I haven't done anything like this before, so it's pretty sick. I've never done title font, so pretty cool.
Yeah, that's not true. You did the Doom Patrol one, but I did the pencils for that.
I did the pencil stuff though, yeah. I'm trying to do that more. I'm trying to add more elements to every piece I'm doing now. So we're getting there, slowly but surely. Dope. But yeah, William, you want to give any shout outs and talk about your work or where we can find it?
My comics are available at Forbidden Planet, New York City, Chicago Comics up by Chicago, Codex of the Jaguar 2, issue 1. My co-creator also has stuff on Amazon. Mario Martinez's books are available there. And yeah, just keep drawing, everybody. Read comics, draw comics, and happy holidays to everybody.
Oh yeah, dude, it's such a blast having you on the stream. Just love talking to you. Love everything you're doing. Really, really excited to have you on more stuff and to draw with you more. And thank you for tuning in as often as you do.
No, man, always enjoy it. Thanks for having me on.
Of course,
good one,
Max. You want to do any quick shout outs real fast?
Yeah. You can get Bubbles on lesserknowncomics.com. A queer neon horror story, one shot, based on real life experiences with black mold in a shitty motel room. And the process zine is also up there. So if you want raw scans, script, character design stuff, behind the scenes looks at everything, you can pick that up also on lesserknowncomics.com. And I think that's it from me.
And don't forget, we have the Holochrome holidays right now. So if you buy 500 or more in Subtle Stitch books, you will get a free Holochrome of your cover. It's a nice little gift that we're giving from Comics Wellspring. And we'll have a lot of new stuff hitting your emails and everything at the start of January. So keep an eye out. We have a lot of new stuff from a new website, a lot of cool educational things, a lot of new fun initiatives we're doing. And then we're going to be talking about IC3 and leading into the con for the rest of the year. So going into March, basically. So super hyped. But no splitting next week because Christmas schedules. And don't forget to head over to ApolloCityComics.com where you can get so many new books, actually. We're going to put out the broadcast dialogues in January. We're going to have a really fun political book that we're announcing in January as well. The remainders just went to print, so that Kickstarter will get fulfilled soon. And Outer Space is about to arrive, so Outer Space #2 will be available to order. And Campfire Chronicles will also be off of pre-sale, and we will selling that directly on the site, so you could get Campfire Chronicles as well. We put out a lot of stuff in the last 3 months, and we meant to take it easy, but that's what happens. Go make some comics and tag us and print with Comics Wellspring. Thanks, guys.